from the frat house. I had a few of you guys ask a really good question. A couple people had asked if I would show how I do a weekly review. I'm sorry, there goes the phone. I'm using the phone to help prop up the iPad. I turned it off. Sorry, guys. A couple people had asked about how I do a weekly review, and I will answer that. I do a weekly review for the prior week and the setup for the upcoming week at the same time, just so that I don't lose things. Not to say that I don't have to do it sometimes in bits and pieces, because I do. Sometimes have to do it in bits and pieces because I generally do the weekly review for the prior week and the setup for the upcoming week over the weekend. So that's why when I do the before and after pictures, really I only decorate Monday through Friday, because depending on the weekend, I'm not looking at the planner a whole lot. So I will show you how I do a weekly review for the prior week and how that kind of rolls into the setup for the upcoming week. I do use a couple of apps as well, and I'm thinking maybe a separate video showing you the apps that I use. One of them is basically kind of a holdover from when I was doing all my planning digitally, or trying to do all my planning digitally. But I do still use that, OmniFocus, and then Evernote and Drafts and WeekCal HD. Those are the 4 apps that I use with planning. Some of that's just because everybody else in the house uses digital stuff, and that all dumps into my calendar so I can see what everybody else has going on. So I rely on that iCal, that WeekCal HD. So I will show you how I do a weekly review and a weekly setup. And if you guys have questions or comments or suggestions or anything, let me know. Okay? Thanks.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
guys, so here is how I do my weekly review for the prior week and my weekly setup for the upcoming week. We're going to hope this isn't too shaky. I'm doing it a little bit differently. I didn't want to spread everything out on my desk because Liam is still asleep and I wanted to be able to hear him. So I'm going to do this in little bits and pieces, and I'm holding the camera. So we'll see how it goes. We'll hope it's not too shaky. So my first step when I am reviewing the prior week and getting ready to set up the upcoming week is to go through, or first of all, I usually do this on Saturday or Sunday. Sometimes it's kind of spread over both. So here is the prior week. Now this is going to be a little bit different than it normally looks, just because it's been spring break week, so I don't have a whole lot written down for tasks and whatnot. It's mostly been, stuff with the kids. So I go through the prior week's daily pages, and I really quickly, and I just go through and look and see if there are any tasks that I needed to do that I did not get done. And if there are, I make a note of them just on a spare piece of paper. If there are tasks that I didn't mark off, I mark them off. And then the last thing I do is go through the daily pages and double check all of the notes and whatnot that I may have made. If there's anything else I need to jot down for the upcoming week, or if there's anything that I needed to index that I didn't index, like this I need to index. So I'll index that, and then I will add it to the table of contents. Okay, so after I've reviewed the week's daily pages, just to catch any tasks that didn't get done and to make sure that I mark anything that did get done, make sure anything I want indexed and in the contents pages is in the contents pages, then I go to the prior week's weekly chart, and I do basically the same thing. I just double check, like I said, this is spring break week, so this is looking a little weird compared to how it normally looks. So I go through all of these and do the same thing. Is there anything I did but I didn't mark it off, and I mark it off? If there's anything I didn't get done, I mark it on a spare piece of paper. And then I do the same thing for the monthly chart. This week is particularly different, not only because it's been spring break this last week, but because the month is rolling over from March to April. So during my setup, I'm also doing the monthly setup. So I double check this and just see, okay, is there anything on here that I needed to get done this month that I didn't get done? Or is there anything that I did get done that I forgot to fill in? And anything that didn't get done that I need to move forward to the upcoming month, I mark on the upcoming monthly chart, or I mark on a spare piece of paper first. And bills, I double check all of the due dates. Most of those are on apps on my phone, so I go through the apps and just double check amounts and due dates. And because this is the monthly setup as well, right now, just because it's the end of March, right now I do go straight to, let me move everything here, I go straight to that April monthly chart, and I start filling that in right now because I had the March's chart open in front of me. I transfer the bills and their due dates really quick. I've already written in the hockey schedule through May, so normally anything else going on for Mike I would fill in at this time, but I already did that when I printed these out. And then I'll real quick fill in all of my normal stuff that goes on each monthly chart. The next thing I do for setting up the week is to look at this app right here, this WeekCal HD. Everybody in the house, other than myself, uses iCal and Google Calendar. So all the boys who are working, and Mike does all of his planning solely on his iPad. So all of their calendars funnel into mine. What I'm going to do here is I'll take a still picture of the week, and I'll have to mark some things out just because all of Mike's patients' names are on there, and I obviously don't want to show that. So I will insert a still picture here just so you guys can see what that calendar looks like. Coming up here for the boys, it's actually a pretty light week, so but I have to look at that so that I can see what nights, who is working after school and where Mike is going to be so that I can fill in his schedule as well, because I put anybody that I have to drive back and forth to work, any running that I'm going to do because Mike is going to be out of town, things like that, that all has to go onto my calendar because I have to do it. So I reference that WeekCal HD, iCal, Google Calendar, it all funnels into there. So I'm going to put a still picture on here so you guys can see what that looks like. So here is what the whole family's weekly calendar looks like in WeekCal HD. As I said, everybody else does digital planning, so their calendars all funnel into here, and I can look at this and see who I need to drive, where, when, and where Mike is going to be able to drive, and put that on my weekly calendar. Now I go to my monthly calendar, and I just check out this upcoming week, which would be this column over here. It'd be the March 31st through April 6th. And I just check anything I may have written in there. Sometimes when it's things that came up, weeks ago that are going to fall into this week, I have them stuck with a Post-it note onto here because I generally don't fill this in until comes time to do that monthly setup, just because that way I can keep this neat. I'm working with limited space. I abbreviate a lot, so I want to make sure I'm paying attention when I'm writing things in there. So like here, I start throwing Post-it notes on here. So I'll fill in anything that I had stuck for Post-it notes, for the month over here. And then I go through just the column for this week and note anything that's going on outside of our normal schedule. Dropping kids off at school and picking them up happens the same time every day during the school week. But, like this night, my oldest son works. This night, my oldest son works. This day, he's got a college fair during the day. Anything going on at the grade school or at the junior high, I write all that, make sure it's in here, and then I transfer it over here to the weekly calendar. I go through and fill in each day on that weekly calendar. I do also mark in the normal everyday stuff. What times I'm dropping people off at school, what times I'm picking people up at school, because it helps me to look at my schedule and Mike's schedule and see what days he is going to be in town to be able to, help drop people off and pick people up. So the normal routine schedule goes in on that weekly calendar. Mike's schedule goes off over here to the right-hand side so that he can see when he's here to help run people. And then the extra stuff, what nights one of the boys might be working, one night there might be, an event at one of the other schools, that all gets put into this week chart, or week calendar, sorry guys. So there's that week calendar pretty much filled in. I don't have all of Mike's work schedule for this week yet. This weekend through like a week from Monday are a little bit weird. They have 2 road trips back to back, and one of them's a really long one. So they're still fiddling with their practice schedule a little bit, trying to decide what they're going to do. So usually I have his schedule going on over here, and the only thing I know for sure is these 2 days right now. So I do put in, like I said, there's the typical every day at 7:30 I drop Jack off at school. Anything I'm not sure about, I put in pencil, and I always make at least one mistake, so there's whiteout. Okay, now we move on to the weekly chart. Where I start with this is I double check just what dates, this week is. So we're talking the very end of March through April 6th. And I then go to that monthly chart and look at anything that I need to, like if there are bills that are due. Sometimes I put those on the weekly chart, sometimes I don't. I really don't know why. There's no rhyme or reason to that, to be really honest with you. I'm not very consistent about putting them on the weekly chart. I don't know if that's just because I look at the monthly chart often enough that I don't miss those. And their bills. I mean, I need to keep track of them. So they're, every time I look at the monthly chart, they're right in front of me. So when I set up the monthly chart, I went through my project pages in my Midori's, and I generally have the same projects every week. Tech coding, obviously. If I'm doing a little project for someone else, they get an abbreviation on here. This is another website I'm working on. Pink is all my stuff, so YouTube, the blog, posting the before and after comparison shots, and then Mike's schedule at the top. So I did go through and separate out the weeks too. I think that'll help me a little bit. So I just look at, this will be week 14, and I just look down here and double check, if there are bills due the 1st, I probably already paid them, which I did, so I need to mark those off. And, I know this weekend I already do have marked on the calendar as well that Mike is going to be gone. And these are just ongoing things. So I do need to yet mark the boxes for these, so I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to transfer these onto the weekly chart. Anything I need to get done this week, even something that's just ongoing, like the tech coding that I don't necessarily, I put a deadline in my head, but there's not a hard and fast deadline for it. I do still put it on here just so I can look at it and go, oh, I haven't touched that in a day or two. I need to get on it. I'm seeing it all the time. So I'm going to go ahead and transfer all of that. Working on this weekly chart is also when I will double check the project pages for anything I have going on this week. And I'm still not quite done transferring some of the long-term projects, like stuff for the house, over from the desk size. But like this is a good example, a website and some social media stuff I'm doing. So I know that on my task list for this particular business, I've got to get these things done this week. So I put those onto the weekly chart for this week. Okay, so this so far, for what I know for certain I'm going to get on this week, this is pretty well done. I know I want to do another video this week, but I honestly haven't decided which one would be best to work on yet. It'll depend on what I can get recorded today. So this will fill in more between like today and tomorrow. Today's Saturday. So this will fill in more between today and tomorrow with my stuff. My stuff is in pink. And look I'm like the whiteout queen this morning. I've got it there. I've got it over here. This is what happens when I do this, having not had enough coffee yet. So trying to keep things neat and blocked together. So that is what the whiteout is for. So I realized that a lot of this might seem like rewriting. Like I go from, these are notes from, phone calls and meetings with this particular person, and then this is what's coming up that I need to get done. I did copy this from here in my project pages onto here, only because I just moved these project pages, so I'm still getting in the habit of checking those. So until I'm in that habit, I want to have it on my weekly chart, because this is open and I'm looking at this all day, every day, at least while the kids are at school. So until I form that habit of just checking these, periodically through the day, I want it in both places. Same goes for stuff like this. Having it both here and on the monthly chart over here, I totally realized that is, I'm writing things twice. And is that counterproductive? Probably, at least right now in the moment. However, again, I'm forming that habit of posting certain things on certain days and trying to find my comfortable spot for a schedule for the blog and for YouTube. So until I find that, it just helps me to kind of have it in both places. I'm not going to write anything in over here for YouTube yet, just because I'm not quite sure what video is going to go up this week yet. So that'll depend on today and tomorrow and what I can get done as far as recording. So until I form those habits, I do tend to write things in two places, both the project pages and in here, just because I don't want to miss anything. Okay, and this part is going to be interesting. I'm going to see if I can do this. This is also the time, I do this periodically throughout the week as well, but this is also the time where I go through my default folder in Evernote and just make sure that I didn't make any notes in there for any tasks or ideas that I need to get logged somewhere, whether they go on a project page, whether they go on a weekly chart, wherever I'm going to put that stuff. If I think of it at a, like a strain, oh, there goes the, sorry guys. Sorry, good timing, huh? And when I think of stuff on the fly, I tend to open up drafts and put it into Evernote. I have drafts set up, and maybe I'll do a video showing you guys this. blog post ideas. This is for the book ideas. And where's my other one? See, I'll have like an untitled note. It's just something I wanted to download the banners that Ray had posted, and I thought of it while I was driving. A bill reminder. So see, there's just all kinds of stuff here that I will go into drafts, make a note real quick, send it to Evernote, and it all falls into my default notebook. So I want to go through this while I'm doing my weekly plan and just make sure that, there wasn't something, say last Monday or Tuesday, that I dumped into here real quickly that I then forgot to write down somewhere. Like I said, I do look at this a lot during the week. It's the default notebook in Evernote, so I'm in and out of it all the time. When I get like a shipping confirmation or hey, your bill is ready in the email, I automatically forward it to Evernote just so that if I delete it out of my email box by mistake, I still have it right here. So during my weekly plan, I go through this and just double check and make sure that there's nothing in here that's a task that I need to, maybe move on to a project page or put on this week's weekly chart that I may have missed during the week. Okay, so now I move from my weekly calendar and my weekly chart, which I'm not quite done with. Like I said, it's going to depend on what recording gets done this weekend, what else I'm going to be editing and, writing blog posts for and posting as far as what I can get recorded today for YouTube. So this I'll revisit throughout the week. All of this stuff, I then move on to my daily pages. Again, I know that that is redundant. I know it seems completely ridiculous that first of all, I know I have to drop Jack off every day at 7:30 at school. I know that, but I seriously will tell someone that I can be somewhere at 8 o'clock in the morning when part of my brain knows full well I can't. I get head fog really, really badly. So it's just for me to remain consistent. All of these get moved over here on the daily pages. I am finishing up finding my quotes for the week today, so those will all get written in on each daily page in here. Any tasks that I know I have to get done on Monday will go down here. And then I leave this page over here blank. This page stays blank for notes and whatnot. Any bills I pay end up going down here. I talk about this in that Focus on the Daily Pages video. But during the weekly review and the weekly setup, I go from bigger to smaller. I do the monthly chart, I do the monthly calendar, I do the weekly calendar, I do the weekly chart. That way things don't fall through the cracks. Does every piece of information go on every single one of those pages? Absolutely not. But there are some redundancies, absolutely. The kids' school schedule, every other day I'm picking one kid up from school, and then every other day I pick another kid up from school, one from a junior high and one from a high school. And then that alters depending on what days Mike is available to pick one of them up. So I need to have this written in here just with that many kids. It helps me a lot to see, okay, normally, with Mike's schedule, if it's a normal week, Monday I'd pick so-and-so up at the junior high, Tuesday I'd pick so-and-so up at their high school, Wednesday I'd pick the first one up at the junior high. But now this week that's going to be completely different because they have 2 long road trips in a row. So that is a huge reason why I write this stuff in every day, because even though it's a set schedule as far as school goes, where I have to be on certain days at certain times is going to vary depending on the week because Mike's schedule varies so much. So quotes go here. I pull the calendar stuff over to here, and then I pull from here, my weekly chart, onto my tasks. And the only things I write on here as far as tasks during the weekly setup are things that I know absolutely have to be done on that day. Like I said, a lot of those projects that I have going are ongoing projects. So, there are some things that I can do while, Liam is in the room running around and I'm going back and forth between playing with him and working on something. There are some things that I absolutely cannot do while Liam is in the room and tearing around and I'm going back and forth and playing with him. So a lot of what I can get done in any given day is dependent on, how he's feeling. If he's, feeling particularly busy, then I'm not getting as much done. So the only things that go down here while I'm doing the setup the weekend before are things that have to be done on that particular day. That is why I work from this chart so much. So I know I can edit a video while he's running around. So depending on what I get recorded today, since it's still Saturday and Sunday, that's going to dictate what I can get done during the days. If tomorrow afternoon, like tomorrow morning, I know or tomorrow morning. Goodness, today is not Sunday. Today is Saturday. Monday morning, I'm pretty sure, like I said, we're not certain about the schedule for hockey this week, but I'm pretty certain that Monday morning Mike is home for a while. So there'll be some stuff that I can get done that Liam will be awake. It's stuff I normally cannot work on while he's awake and, tearing around. Like coding. The batch that I'm on right now, I need to really focus and pay attention to. It's just the nature of this particular batch of problems. I am far better off working on that when I don't have any distractions, at least not a toddler for a distraction. So I work on that when he's napping. Monday morning, I might be able to work on it because if all goes as I think is planned, Mike will be home. So, but none of those things have got to be done on Monday. So I won't put any of those in here. There is a banner that I wanted to have done by Monday, so I will write in here. I'm working on that today and tomorrow. I will write in here, double check and edit banner. And my little abbreviation for that particular project would go over here. I would do it in purple because purple in my head is projects for other people. So I go through my daily pages that way, marking each day, is there anything that has got to be done on that certain day? A good example would be I've been trying to post just the before shots of the week's planner pages on Instagram and Twitter and whatnot because people seem to like that. A couple people asked why I had stopped doing it. When I started doing the before and after shot comparisons, I stopped posting the before shots. And y'all are so nice that several of you are like, we missed the before shots. So I will put on here right now, on Wednesday, I need to post the before shots for this particular week on Instagram and Twitter and whatnot. And then each daily schedule I'll go through and fill out. Okay? Okay, now some people had asked about what I put on the weekly chart versus what I put on the daily pages for tasks. And like I said before, if it's something that's ongoing projects like tech coding, I don't assign them to a specific day. I want to work on them as much as possible, but a lot of that depends on Liam and whether or not Mike is home during the day to keep an eye on him so that I can work on that stuff. So those things I keep track of. I don't assign them to a specific day. Things that I will put only on a daily page and not necessarily on the weekly chart. A good example of that, it doesn't happen all the time, but like this week, we have a $200 credit coming from Verizon because of a billing mistake, and I checked this morning and I don't see it on the I don't see it anywhere on the account. I don't need to put that on here. I know that's a phone call that's going to maybe take me 10 minutes to do. If it's something that's only going to take me, 10, 15 minutes, depending on how long I have to wait on hold, I'll just put it on a daily page. I want it done quickly, and I did already try to call them this morning, and they must be really busy because I couldn't get through. So I just wrote it down for Monday. I'm not going to put that on the weekly chart. If I don't get it done Monday, for some really weird reason, I will right away at the end of the day on Monday, I'll take a peek at this real quick and see if there's anything that I need to get done on Tuesday, anything that may have come up. I'll check through my notes over here, anything over here that was not absolutely necessary that it had to be done on Monday like this. I want it done on Monday. If something crazy happens and I don't get that done, I will go ahead and move any of that stuff, anything from the notes, anything from over here, onto Tuesday. So these kind of evolve, these task lists on my daily pages, they evolve as the days go by. Just because a lot of that stuff is dependent on Mike's schedule and on, what the kids have going on and on Liam and stuff like Mike's schedule and a toddler, that's variable. That's not, that's going to vary regardless of what I do or don't do. That is pretty much it, you guys, as far as the weekly review and the weekly setup goes. Like I said, that weekly chart is going to fill in over here quite a bit between today and tomorrow as it's Saturday yet. So that'll look different by Monday morning, but otherwise that is how I do this. As I said, I know there are a lot of redundancies. If I'm in a hurry, if I'm on a phone call with somebody, while I'm out and about, sometimes I open to that week page, sometimes I open to the day page for whatever particular day we're talking about. It just helps my brain to have that stuff in two spots. If you guys have any questions or comments or anything like that, you know what to do. Let me know, okay? Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.